Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Live's Week 2 post-game show. I am, of course, your host, Kevin Knight. Apologies for the delay there. We also are going to be getting Corey Woodruff in here. It looks like. Hi, Corey. I know they can't see you yet. Hold on one second. There we go. How you doing, Corey? Bad question right now. We're gonna give you a minute to think about that one. Sorry for the delay, folks. I had to fill up my drink, so I'm gonna need it for this one. I think we all understand that. How to describe? There's a lot of words we could use. Really, the whole vocabulary is in play for today, due to just the kind of total ineptitude that we witnessed. I'm struggling to pick the best one here. Do you have a choice word that maybe you have in mind, Corey?
I'm scared it would be inappropriate for all audiences.
Inappropriate for all. We'll just we'll edit in a bleep here, and we'll just assume it's one of that. But yeah, there's so many people in the chat, guys. I know all the usual suspects are here. We appreciate you if you're tuning in from outside as well. But I mean, look, straight up, that's definitely one of the most embarrassing losses in franchise history. And that's impressive considering the embarrassing losses that we've witnessed with this franchise. So that's rarefied air there. So I mean, there's so many places to start. Like I don't even know where to get going. I mean, we could talk about the onside kick and the whole team apparently thinking that they were trying to recover the onside kick, so they had to wait to get it, and not knowing the difference between covering one and recovering one. So that's a good one. The fact that the defense allowed 40 points despite causing 3 turnovers, that's also a pretty good one. Honestly, not too many complaints about the offense. Like, it wasn't as good as it should have been, considering that they got 3 free red zone trips, but they scored 39 points. Hard to be too upset about that. I mean, you could definitely nitpick whether they should have gone for 2 or kicked, the extra point at one point in the game. You could definitely be upset about field goals and not touchdowns a few times, but 39 points is 39 points. You scored 39 damn points, you should win the game. Like, that's like, I bet if you look at the statistics of how many times you win as a Falcons team when you've scored 39 points, I bet it's like over 95% of the time they would win that game. So a lot to break down there. Corey, what would you like to talk about first?
I had this weird feeling in my stomach the entire game.
Me too, man. Me too.
It just, I guess from like the comical angle, like obviously this is how it went. Like there's no other way this would normally go. But I've been on Dan Quinn's train for years. Even after everything, nobody was as big of like, let's give him time, he'll get it done. But after this, it's just like, it's kind of like a TV show that's been on for so many seasons, and it's like jump the shark at this point. And it's just like, we have seen the same story play out over and over and over. And you can even go into the Smitty era of this team and just say very flatly that since Thomas Dimitroff joined as the general manager, this team cannot handle adversity. They have never been able to handle, except in the rarest of occasions when things go bad or when people start to run up tempo and you're tired. I understand that football has its mechanical ups and downs, and there are just moments that are hard to kind of keep things where you always want them to be, but I just cannot remember the last time I watched a Falcons game where I just felt good that they could get their knuckles kind of clinched together and push back. Like, this team is literally, I'll never go back to that. There's a comment that was made years ago that said the Falcons are a finesse football team. Yeah. They have to outrun you. They have to score fast and early. And even then, they let all the touchdowns up, and you just kind of barely get out of Dodge with a win.
Yeah.
And like, even if they had one today, could any of us felt better about the fact that they scored 20 points in the first quarter, should have had a lot more, and still just gave everything up. Yeah. I mean, like it's like, it's great. I mean, if you can get 1-1, that's fine. Work on it for next week. But just like, I mean, again, they deserve to lose today. I mean, the Cowboys gave them every opportunity to lose that game. Mike McCarthy was awful today with his decision making. I didn't think Dallas's defense was particularly impressive. No. I mean, Dak's a very good quarterback and gave them plenty of time to do stuff. And like, it's just it was a systemic issue. This team is systemically flawed, and this is just a firm reminder that the Falcons are not going to be a Super Bowl team this year. I don't care if they have a positive record by the end of all of this, which they still could. They're not built to go the distance right now, and it's just kind of a cruel reminder that it's just not it.
Yeah, this ain't it. Maybe that's the best summary. And it's kind of impressive that we just keep getting the same result every single year. Like every single season with Dan Quinn, there's these big leads given up. No Falcons fan can ever feel comfortable with a lead because we know this defense is a joke. I mean, it's been a joke the entire time Quinn's been here, except for a few rare occasions. I guess you could say 2016, outside of the final game of the season. Oh, what's up, Keenan? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, we're just we're in our feelings a little bit here. How are you holding up? Oh, I lost you. I lost your audio there, man. Can you hear me? Oh no. Can you? Oh yeah, you're muted. You're muted on the Google Hangouts there, Keenan. Let's see if I can unmute you. Can you hear me there, Keenan? 1 second, folks. We're still working at the kinks here. Yeah, you're muted on. Okay, now I can hear you.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, now I got you.
Hey, y'all. I don't know if y'all heard me, but I know it's Sunday. I had a good church service message this morning and had a lot of positivity, but I'm gonna try not to cuss today. I'm gonna try not to curse. I'm gonna use my best language because my kids are around and they don't need to hear Daddy talk like how you gonna talk.
It's okay, yeah. Just let it out. Let the feelings out. That's what the show's for. We're here to give everyone a chance to let those.
Hold on, let me get my headphones, you guys.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh my goodness, I can't hear it right now. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, I like the best. Yeah, I like it reminds me of that line from Hot Rod where he's like, I go to church every Sunday. You go bring the demons out of me. That's how I feel about this Falcons team right now. So.
Oh my goodness.
It's yeah. All right.
Okay, hello.
Hey, how you doing? You got us now?
Yeah, I'm with you now.
All right.
Oh,
all
man.
right. Yeah, go for it, man. We spent the last few minutes just getting through the beginning of it here, but how are you feeling?
Oh man, I'm still. Did that just really happen, y'all?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it did. We should probably check with somebody, but.
Oh my goodness, that was a collapse, y'all.
Oh yeah, it's up there with the best collapses in franchise history, and that's really saying something. It's really saying something.
I cannot believe that happened, you guys. That was like, wow. We started off so hot, and then it was like. At the end, like everybody forgot the rules on special teams.
It looked like they thought they were the ones trying to recover the kick.
I mean, y'all tell me if I'm wrong. The rules state if it don't go for 10, you can still go try and touch it, and even if you don't recover it, and they recover it, it's still our ball because it didn't go 10. We had 3 guys around it like it was hot potato. They didn't want to touch it.
Yeah, they seemed to not understand what they were supposed to be doing. Like they thought that their roles were flipped with the Cowboys. Like they thought they got so good at recovering onside kicks, that they didn't remember how to actually cover one.
Man, I mean, they called a timeout. So I'm thinking in the huddle, in them 20 some odd seconds or whatever it is, like, hey, they're getting everybody clued in on the rules. You know what I mean? Hey, look here. Make sure it goes 10, or if it don't, go get it and all that other good stuff. But somebody forgot it. Like, what did they talk? I'm wondering, what did they talk about in that timeout before?
Did you see? It was one of the last scenes of the game. Just Julio Jones just staring at Ben Kotwick on the sideline, just like the death stare from Julio. Oh my god, dude, that just cracked me up so bad. I mean, it's like how everyone in the world feels right now if you're a Falcons fan. Just like, excuse me, what was that just happened, Ben? What are we doing here? Yeah, I mean, so that's the most visible sign of a team in complete and utter disarray. A team that is in a really, really bad way on multiple levels. But really what, to me, like, obviously the special teams flub is going to be the story of the week because that's just embarrassing and it's the play that's easy to break down and distill. But the reason they lost this game was that the defense was just a complete and utter joke. Like, it was like, if they were not gifted those 3 turnovers to start the game, the Cowboys would have scored 50 plus easy. Like, there was no resistance. They were totally dependent on those turnovers, which, as we know, can be very random and fluky. And as we saw, they didn't get any more throughout the whole rest of the game. The Cowboys were playing undrafted free agents at both offensive tackle spots, and the pass rush got a single sack. And now they lost Takk McKinley, but still, they're undrafted guys. This is not the fearsome Cowboys offensive line of old. And, props to the Dallas offense for designing a game plan to take advantage of the Falcons defense, which really isn't that hard apparently, but it was just a disaster on defense, a complete disaster.
Man, you know what? You got to give Zeke Elliott his credit. I know he got like 96 on the ground. That was a tough 96 he got, and I mean, it was just, oh my goodness. Y'all saw the play on the goal line. 2 yards out, and he pressed that PlayStation truck stick on my man Kazee. And, I mean, that's why Zeke gets paid $50 million. You one-on-one, you got to get that. Mm-hmm. And he damn sure got it. Mm-hmm. It was just the first quarter, they started off good. We had a couple turnovers, and then after that, it was just like, what was it?
Right.
Like the fourth quarter, what they scored, like 4 touchdowns to our, oh my gosh. I have no words.
I'm running out. That's what I said when I got on. It's like, there's so many words, I can't pick the right ones, because I feel like I could go in so many directions with this. It's rare that you see such a clear indication of a team that is just flailing from the top down as a special teams error of that magnitude. No one knows what the hell's going on. No one knows what they're doing. The players are out of position. They're not covering the kick correctly, even after a timeout, as you mentioned. I forgot about that. And I don't know what the coaching was there, but whatever it was wrong. They should have just let them do it without the timeout, I think. Couldn't have been worse. So,
well, they had the hands team out there, so if you're on the hands team, then, hey, you're supposed to be able to catch that ball, scoop it up or something, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like the kicker started off in the middle and then at the last second dipped to the left, our right, fooling everybody. Nah, you knew where it was going.
Yeah. You
knew where that ball was positioned, where they was trying to kick it and put it. And we had 3 guys standing around backing up, probably waiting for somebody else to get it. And
they're like, oh, yeah, I don't want to be the guy that messes it up,
Yeah, but, man, it was just like, golly, man, if you just touch the ball, if you just touch it, if you don't recover it, hey, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay, but it didn't happen. They always say there's 1 or 2 plays in the game that determined the outcome of it, and that right there was definitely one of them. That was probably the one that lost it, because the offense was trying to do its thing. Oh man, the offense was trying to do its thing. It's just the defense, they just didn't finish for them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The offense, it wasn't great. Matt Ryan, I think, played fairly well. Matt Gono, had to come in after McGarry went down, and obviously we're just hoping for the best with him. It didn't look good, sadly.
Yeah.
But McGarry, I thought Gono played well at right tackle. I think he struggled a bit as a run blocker, but in pass pro he was fine. He gave Matt Ryan time. The pass plays were working, especially downfield, but it just seemed like they were kind of just stuck in this neutral on offense. They were getting enough, but it was never they should have taken off and taken control of the game, and they never could quite get there. And part of the problem was every single time the defense was on the field, they gave up a touchdown. It was it's hard to hold on to a lead when you're giving up 7 points every 3 minutes. They should they have been able to? Yeah, honestly, even with all the points they gave up, they had a 99.9% chance of winning until that onside kick happened, because nobody gives up onside kicks these days in the NFL except the Falcons on both sides of the ball, because they're really good at getting them too with Younghoe Koo. But none of these results are things that should be taken in a vacuum, because you can say we can nitpick the actual things that happened in the game. We can nitpick individual plays. We can talk about how Julio, dropped that pass, and that that was bad, obviously. But to me, what we've seen over the past 2 weeks, and more generally what we've seen since 2019, because I do give them a pass in some ways for 2018, because the injuries were ridiculous. They piled up early. I don't blame them necessarily for struggling in 2018. But last year and now the beginning of this year, it's the same story. This is a team that has no clue on defense, that has apparently made poor personnel decisions on defense, and that isn't able to do enough on offense despite the talent that they have, which is substantial. And I honestly don't even know that it's a talent issue on defense. I mean, I think they should be better than they appear based on what they have, especially on the defensive line. But, I mean, I don't know how Arthur Blank can look himself in the mirror and keep this coaching staff intact anymore. Like, I just don't. And I honestly like Dan Quinn. Like, I love him as a person. He's a good dude. I want him to succeed. Just not in Atlanta anymore. Like, I'm done. That's all. Like, I hope he goes on and has a great career elsewhere. I think he still has a promising career ahead of him, but it's done in Atlanta. Like, I'm out. So that's where I'm at.
I'm not completely out on Dan, because he can't I know at the end of the day the head coach is responsible, but he can't throw on the pads and go out there and play. One thing that I was looking for, and as a former offensive lineman, would always look at, how that run game is pressing on the opposing defense. And it seemed like every time Zeke was getting the ball, he was falling forward for 2-3, or he was pushing the pile. Their offensive line was pushing the pile on our defense, and that's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like it was like we had a couple times where they stopped him in the backfield, but for the most part, Zeke was just a pit bull out there, man. I know the stats don't show it, but that offensive line that was full of free agents, man, they did a pretty good job of weathering the storm early and then coming back and trying to just fight their way back into it. Because after a while, we weren't getting any kind of pressure as far as pass rush.
No.
The pass rush just disappeared after Tack went out.
Yeah, which is also a big problem, clearly, because Dante Fowler is your $16 million a year guy, and he was barely able to get pressure. I think he might have been hurt
the entire game. Yeah,
he did seem
he was
hobbled
really struggling. Yeah.
But again, like it's clearly you're in a really bad place. The secondary is barely even contesting throws, like wide open. It just seemed like it was easy for Dallas. Like every time they had the ball, despite starting 2 undrafted free agents at tackle, despite being in a huge hole and should have been forced to be one-dimensional. Like the Cowboys knew, like, okay, we can just give the ball to Zeke and pass off of play action, and we're gonna roast this defense. They didn't seem like they were panicked. They didn't abandon the run, and honestly, like, they made just as many mistakes as the Falcons did throughout this game. Like, McCarthy's decision-making was disastrous at times. It just didn't matter because they had the ultimate one-up at the end of the game with that onside kick. So,
man, Dallas went in at the second half, and I don't know what magic pill they took, but, man, we need to get some.
Yeah, I need some. Like, I don't care. Like, just stop it with these. Like, last year was that Texans game where they got absolutely blown off the turf. I think it was week 5, gave up the most points in franchise history since like the 50s or something. Like, it had been, decades since they'd given up that many points, and it was just a total shellacking. And, like, we can't just let this happen anymore. Like, this isn't an isolated incident. This isn't like a one-time thing where it's like, okay, well, Dan Quinn's still a young head coach. He still needs time. Like, no, he's had time. Like, this year was too much. Like, the staff is too comfortable. Something is not right here. Like, something is very, very wrong, and it's a deep-seated problem because you don't just have games like this. Like, there's a reason that teams that are up by 20 points win like 98% of the time, and it's unreal that the Falcons have now lost 2 of these games, in such embarrassing fashion. One of them being the biggest game in the world. Like, I think if the Falcons had won this game, I would be saying a lot of the same things I am now because they probably deserved to lose it. Like,
they did.
They were gift-wrapped 3 red zone trips with those turnovers.
I was looking at a statistic earlier that I think is very indicative of what's partly been wrong this year. They have been outscored in the third quarter of games in both weeks, 28-0 cumulatively.
Yeah.
So both teams had scored 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. They've done nothing, and they've looked completely lost. The decision to take the ball first has hurt them both times, nor have they been able to come out with any sort of adjustments, any sort of momentum. This team is just – the inconsistency is becoming fatal, and it always has been. It's just that they cannot find a current to latch on to. They're not going to play bad the whole time, but they're not going to play well the whole time either. And I don't know – if it's not Quinn's responsibility or his fault, I don't know whose fault it is. I get that they had some injuries today. I get that, that Dallas has some good players, but in a very general sense, even if they had won this game and they had like next week against Chicago, it'd be a fraudulent 2-1. They don't have the gumption right now to compete with the NFC's best teams. And for some of the talent that they have and the success that they've had in the past, I find that to be incredibly inexcusable. And if it means that we're about to go into a franchise reset, it may be for the best because I still feel like there is a nucleus to this team that can be the class of the NFC. It is apparent to me now that whoever is running this front office or this coaching staff is just not going to be able to get there. Like I don't think they're going to go like 3-13. I think it's going to be about another like 8-8, 9-7 season, maybe a 7-9. They're going to win some games this year. They're going to lose some tough ones. Like the division is good. They might be in like November and be like a random like 5-4, 4-5, and we're like maybe, but then they won't. This is just not. This is just a different time in the NFL. The Falcons were a great team for a year with Kyle Shanahan, and 17 they did pretty well, but they've just never been able to match that. And it's just becoming to the point now where it's just we're having comical, historic loss after loss, and it's just like you set two awful records this year: 3 wide receivers with 100 people, first time you've ever lost a game that has that, and then this week just like 99.9 onside fiasco. It's just there just comes a certain point where it's like there is something wrong with this team that is just at its core that it's not going to shake out with a coaching change or signing a free agent. Like it's just who they are.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's sad because, like Corey said, like I think there is a nucleus here. Like Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, this wide receiver core is like really good. The offensive line, they've dumped a lot of resources in. I think the offensive line could be good. They have Todd Gurley. If everything falls apart this year, he's probably gone. But like they do have some interesting young running backs. They have Hayden Hurst for at least another year. Like the pieces are there on offense to attract a top offensive mind. Like like Eric Bieniemy from Kansas City. Like this guy, I mean, I think he would have a hard time turning down this job. He gets to, I mean, this is like tailor made for someone like him to come in and take control and just stabilize this team that already has all the talent in place. He doesn't have to try to go find a rookie. He doesn't have to do some huge rebuild. He can come in and win immediately. It's just like this belief that we needed a defensive head coach to make a good defense. It's not the case. A lot of the teams with the best defenses don't have defensive head coaches. This defense doesn't need to be good for this team to be good. Like, plenty of teams have now proven this. Look at Kansas City. Kansas City's defense is, like, average on a good day. They've got some playmakers back there, which helps, especially when they can create turnovers. But I guarantee you, if Kansas City had 3 turnovers in the first quarter, they're not losing that game. Like, no one in Kansas City is sweating if Mahomes goes up 20-0, you know what I'm saying? And everyone in Atlanta was sweating. Like, I sent a message in the Falcoholic Slack, or whatever it is that we use, Signal, I don't remember. Whatever it was, I sent it in there at the end of the first quarter saying, I know the Falcons are going to lose this game. Like, they're up 20-0. I just know this game is not going to be a win. I don't know exactly why, but it's just there's some kind of black magic surrounding this franchise now, and I don't like it. I don't know how to get rid of it, but
I don't mean to cut in.
Yeah.
This is really, really interesting. So Justin Hardy, former Falcons receiver, has just tweeted probably the most indicative thing I've ever seen from a former player in like the last 5-7 years from a Falcons perspective. He says that it's not a talent issue. They have plenty. ... Big business. And then there's like a little acronym here that means I know, you know, you know. Or if you know, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the first time I've ever seen a former Falcons player come out and speak negatively about this Quinn organization. I don't exactly know where he's kind of going with that, but that pretends that there might be some lingering issues with this team we're just not aware of that's going on inside that locker room. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it's certainly bizarre.
Well, sometimes what happens, y'all, is you got to think about where they are. They're in the city of Atlanta. So, after a while, you get to playing well, doing well, and, they call it Black Hollywood. A lot of guys, a lot of guys can get a little Hollywood, a little superstar. So you might not come in and with that same hunger or, after you get some success, if that makes sense. You can kind of get a little, I hate to say it, you can kind of get a little soft.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe that's the problem. Guys aren't they're not as hardcore as they used to be, because in the city of Atlanta, you can gain some, if you do well, you get some status. You're not as inclined, I guess, to you're not as hard as you are as like maybe say a team playing up in Green Bay or a team playing up north like in New York.
Mm.
I don't know if that makes sense or not, but guys can get a little Hollywood playing down
Right,
here
get a little too comfortable
in
here.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a little comfortable.
Yeah.
So maybe that's happened. Maybe they've all got to have a team meeting and kind of talk with each other and maybe call each other out a little bit, in a good way. You can't get to where it's finger pointing, but you gotta, call out the obvious, stuff that we don't see, because we're not at practice or we're not in the locker room, you know?
Yeah. I mean, to me, like, I think it could definitely be that. The reason Quinn wasn't fired last year is because the players went to bat for him. But, like, a part of me wonders if a lot of the team still felt he was kind of like a dead man walking this year, and it's just been like, let's just phone it in and get through the season because we know Quinn and Dimitrov are out the door. Like I don't know. I can't say that there's any proof of that, but I mean, they've clearly phoned it in the first 2 weeks of the season, so especially on defense. So I mean, I don't know. Like there's some big issue with the team. And the one constant every year is Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitrov. Because they've been through defensive coordinators. They've been through offensive coordinators. Ain't nothing changed since Shanahan left. And I think, to me, the magic of that 2016 team was Kyle Shanahan. I don't think it had anything to do with Dan Quinn. And maybe that's not fair to Quinn. But at this point, like, I don't know what Quinn offers you. I get that the players love him. That's always nice. But, like, what does he do? Like, when he was the defensive coordinator, it was a disaster. He had to stop being the defensive coordinator because the defense was so bad. Like, if he's not a good defensive mind, he can't call the defense, and he obviously can't help on offense. Like, why is this man your head coach other than that everyone likes him? Like, you have to be better than just being liked to be an NFL head coach. Like, everyone likes me, I shouldn't be an NFL head coach. Like, maybe that's a little generous to me. I don't know, but
but if you also think about it too, that from that Super Bowl team, the core nucleus of that squad, most of those guys are still there. A lot of those guys were still young. They were still young and hungry. A lot of them hadn't got those contracts just yet. It kind of goes back to what I was saying a little earlier. You start getting paid and you can get a little bit, you can get a little soft or a little bit lax, and you can get a little selfish. I think a lot about our teams, when we had our young nucleus, we were all hard nosed and hard charging, fighting through injuries, playing through injuries, practicing through injuries, trying to make a name for ourselves, so to speak, and then after a while you can get a little comfortable, you can get a little lax, you can get a little selfish. I think they all just need to have one of those team meetings where, hey, look here, let's put it all out on the table. Hey, this isn't to make, this isn't to make anybody feel bad. This isn't to make you feel, like we're attacking you. But hey, look here. I need you to start doing more of this. I need you to start doing that. I need y'all to stay out them streets, stay out them clubs, stay out the different appearances, the off the field stuff. All that stuff will come if you win. Let's focus in. Let's do our jobs. Let's, get tunnel vision. Like you see those horses sometimes that's walking down the street, they have those blinders on to make them stay that straight way so they don't look off to the left and right and get distracted. That's what this team, that's what the players need to get back on, because the coaches can only call so much. They can, they can't get out there and play it for you. Those coaches, they don't work all those weeks, staying at the facility at 12, 1 o'clock at night to lose. You know what I'm saying? They depend on those players to go play, because at the end of the day, coaches coach and players play. Yeah. Let's be for real. And I think that they just need to have a players only meeting and sit down and put it all out on the table. Don't get too, don't feel like anybody's attacking you, but take what people are saying and everybody be honest with each other. Don't sit up and not say something and not hurt someone's feelings. Tell it the way you see it, because I'm sure that there's some stuff going on that we can't see. There's some stuff going on that news reporter, they don't see because they're not around the team 24/7. Those players, they've got to come together and figure out what it is so they can do their job and do it to the best of their abilities, and then come back week in and week out, fully focus on the next job,
Yeah. Yeah, what's up, Evan? Joining us here for the last little bit. I know you have prior engagements, so we appreciate you coming on to get your takes in. I know you got some takes about the game as well. We've been kind of exhaustively going over them, but I want to give you a chance to get your thoughts in here as well.
I mean, I'm kind of just at a loss for words. I mean, if you tune into DW's post-game podcast, which will come out tomorrow, I went into full detail on that. So I don't want to just say all the same stuff
Right.
and waste people's time. But it's there's a lot I can't get out of my mind. But that final onside kick where the players were just standing around, that shows me somebody hasn't taught them what to do in that situation. They did what the Cowboys were doing, which was watch the ball roll 10 yards. And then they tried to, I just don't understand what was happening there.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if you guys have gone into Dan Quinn needs to be fired and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've gotten there, yeah. But what is your thought on that?
Mind,
yeah.
I like Dan Quinn as a person. I'll never say anything bad about him as a person. But he is a defensive-minded head coach, and the defense is pathetic. Even with the injuries, you can't allow a comeback like that. But if the defense isn't good, and you even relieve yourself of those duties to let somebody else do it because your defense isn't working, why are you here? Mm-hmm. That's what I don't understand. I don't know.
Yeah, that's basically what I said. Yeah, which is I don't know what you bring at this point. What exactly you bring.
Yeah,
to the team.
Okay, for example, I'm writing at the Falcoholic, talking about the Falcoholic. If I stop writing and talking about coming on these podcasts and stuff, why should I expect SB Nation to pay me?
Right.
Just to
if I just phone it in, don't really do anything, don't even get to
that's what I'm saying.
Don't even get to 300
words,
for SEO. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for him because I like him as a person, but he is not getting this team in position to win games. They get in position, I guess you could say, but then they just pack it in and it's just over.
That's a great point. Yeah,
I don't know,
because this team can look good and has looked good, but it seems like the central theme here is that in the crunch moments, in the times that you need to make the plays to win, they consistently do not. And maybe that's just really bad luck, because a lot of the times, in one-score games, teams are generally 50%. They're 501 score games. That's been a trend that's basically repeated itself throughout NFL history, because a lot of times a single play can flip an entire game when it's down to the wire. This was not a one-score game. This was a 20-0 game that they lost. So, there's no 50% you could win or lose this game. This is 99% of the time you win that game, and you didn't. I hate dunking on this team so bad, because I really love the Falcons. I love a lot of the players. I think that they can be so much better, and that's why it's so frustrating for me, because they can be so much better than they are right now. They should be so much better than they are right now, and they're not. And that, to me, means that there has to be systemic, serious change to get these guys back on the horse and get them out there and winning football games again, because they have the talent to do it, but we're running out of time for Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. So,
yeah, I don't even with that collapse today, I'm not gonna jump off the wagon just yet, because I saw a lot of really good things. Excuse me, I saw a lot of really good things. I saw us go out there, move the ball. I saw us protect the passer well. I saw us we ran pretty decently. I saw us calling plays where we were trying to attack them. It's just all about finishing. We got to finish. Once you have a team down, you can't let up on them. You got to put your foot on their throat, and you got to finish them. And so we just got to learn. We got to practice finishing this week. 0-2, it's not good, but hey, let's be honest. We were looking really good at one point in this game. I'm sure everybody was sitting at their house oh, okay, yeah, we corrected our mistakes from last week. Everybody's playing harder this week. They're playing with a lot more want to. It's just we got to finish better, and hopefully that's what they work on when they go in this week. They work on just finishing better, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that, and that's probably the reasonable take. So I appreciate Keenan coming in with the reason and the optimism, because I am like very pessimistic today. So it's good to get some variety on here. I know there are some fans that are very very much still in. So I don't want to discourage you guys, and I hope that you guys are the ones that are right. So.
Oh, they have a right to be. They have a right to be. Hey, we all sat around and watched the same game. They have a right to be, mad as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, hell, I want to be pessimistic about it. But, I'm just choosing to go off of what I saw, what was good, going forward. Because last week, it was just such a bad outing. This week was better. And I'm just hopeful that they fix that stuff internally within each other, because to me, that is the players lost that one. The players have got to finish that. You got to know the rules when you're out there on the field. You got to make the plays that you're supposed to make in order to, keep your foot on the gas when you got a team that's reeling like that. Because the Cowboys was reeling at one point, and we should have put them away. But players got to play.
Yeah.
And you got to finish. You got to finish the team off when you know that they're on the ropes.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's always up to the players to finish. It's up to the coaches to put them in the best position to be successful. And I feel like, it was definitely a whole, all hands on deck massive failure this week. So it's not like I definitely went after the coaching staff, but look, the players ultimately have to be the ones that actually finish and actually deliver in these crunch moments, and they haven't either. So that's absolutely a fair criticism of them. But we have to do better. And for me, like, coming off a 2019 season, which was a huge disappointment, which a lot of fans felt, should have been the end for Quinn after a 1-7 start. Starting 0-2 for the first time in his career with the Falcons. He's never lost in week 2 before. And for the first time in Matt Ryan's career with the Falcons, now 0-2. I think the writing's clearly on the wall here. I'm sad about it, but I'm very worried, to put it mildly. So the margin for error is now 0. Like, you lose to the Bears in week 3, and it's, we're in the darkness. Like, if we're not in the darkness now, and I think we are, we would be in the darkness after that. I guarantee that. Like, even the most optimistic fans would start to be questioning whether, this whole thing is going to work or not at that point. So, there's...
And then a Monday night matchup with the Packers the following week.
So that's 0-4. Yeah. So let's not.
This week is do or die. This week is do or die. You got to come out guns blazing, and you got to come out and you got to start fast, and you got to finish, man. This is it. You got to put it all together this week. This is that week for them, man. We got the players to do it. We're going to see if they get that done, and I pray that they do. I hope they do. I know they can. Just from what I saw, the positive stuff today, I saw us do. We got to be more, we just got to finish, man.
Yeah, got to finish. And that's the story. That's the story of it so far. Is they just have to get out there and finish. They have the talent to do it. Let's see it. Let's see it put into action.
And they got to stay positive with each other. They got to stay positive. This is that time where teams start to separate and pull apart and finger point and all that. They got to stay positive. You got to – each side of the ball's got to encourage each side of the ball. O-line's got to help the D-line. DB's got to encourage the wide receivers, all that. Everybody's got to – it's just got to be a team effort. Everybody's just got to buy in and come together. This is that time where teams start to, different groups start to become individualized. Well, hey, we did our job. What's up with y'all? It can't be that. Yeah. You got to encourage those guys. Mm-hmm. You got to be out there at practice, giving them the looks that they need and encouraging them when they screw up, hell, and even be more encouraging when they do right, On the sideline, somebody's making a good play, encourage them. Offense has got to be down, getting them on. Defense has got to be the same. Special teams the same way. Everybody's got to work together. It's a team effort. That's why it's a team sport.
Yep. Yeah. Everybody's got to get out there, and everybody's got to pull their weight. And to me, I just worry that some sections are not, keeping up with other sections, and that, like Keenan said, that can lead to rifts in the team. And once that starts happening, you're circling the drain, because if you can't even get together with your teammates and be on the same page and support each other, then you're in a dark place. So we'll hope that they can get it together. 0-2 is usually a death knell for the playoffs, but there is a 7th playoff seed now. So I suspect that statistic will be a little bit less a little bit less deadly because there's an extra playoff spot. So obviously no mathematical elimination. It's only week 2. Obviously there's still time for things to turn around, but it needs to happen soon, extremely soon. So definitely going to get.
Yeah, man. Hey, I was just gonna chime in. I'm sorry to cut you off,
okay,
man, but I just got to thinking about the times I've been on the team, and there have been times where one position group wasn't doing as well, and they're kind of taking the brunt from the media and the fans and everybody else, and even the team itself. Like if the DBs go out there,
nope.
are times where hello.
I'm sorry, you're back. You're back. You're
I got cut off. Somebody tried to call me, but whatever the weak link is on that team, everybody has to go and encourage those guys. You can't be dumping on them. I've been on teams where we've been on the plane ride coming back, and dang field goal kicker misses 3-4 field goals, and now everybody's looking at him like they want to kill him. But nobody's being encouraging to him. He didn't want to go out there and miss them 3-4 field goals. It just wasn't his day. But the way that you come at somebody when they've had a bad outing or a couple bad outings, man, you gotta stay positive with them. Because if you dump on them more as a team, they hear the outside noise from everybody else. They hear that. They don't need to hear it inside, and they don't need to see them crazy looks. Although, they're all competitors. They all want to win, and everybody in the locker room and on that plane ride home tonight, they know who's the reason why we didn't win this game today. They can't pull apart and just go to finger pointing at them. You got to be positive, bring those guys up because, you're going to need them. You do need them. You might as well be positive with them and don't dump on them because that's just going to make them go into more of a shell,
Yeah, it's gonna.
That's my piece.
It's gonna be tough because, like you said, like it's tough to lose at any rate. Like I'm sure as a player, it's like the worst. It sucks, especially sucks to be on a losing streak, and then to have the game end like that. It's gonna be hard for this team to keep it together, and maybe this is where Quinn can excel. Like he's a guy that the players love. Maybe he can keep them together and keep this from falling apart. That's something we're gonna have to monitor this week, and we'll just hope for the best with this team, but. I am big time, depressed about it. Keenan seems like he's, still wait and see, which is probably the reasonable take. So I'm glad someone here is reasonable. I don't want to speak for the other two guys. I'll give them a chance to kind of get their final say in here. But before I do that, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. 555 concurrent viewers, shattering all records. So I guess thanks, Falcons, for that. But, there's a lot of new faces in here, obviously. Welcome. We appreciate you guys. If you don't mind throwing a like to the video, that helps other people on YouTube find us. We appreciate that. And if you want more Falcons content, the subscribe button is there as well. You'll get alerts when we go live. We are on Wednesdays at 8:10 p.m. Eastern every week during the season, and then also for these post-game shows as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. Before we get out of here, I want to go to the other guys, give them a chance to kind of get their final thoughts in here. Corey, I know we've talked about it. Anything else you want to add on this game before we wrap it up tonight?
Yeah, I'll just say a couple things, not super long. So right now, if you're looking at the schedule, I'm trying to be as realistic as I can. I think I'm past my depressed haze over me, Ingmar Bergman film, like everything is doom mentality. But today's win was really bad. I mean, this was a disastrous win, and when you have a team like Atlanta who has this mix of these young guys who don't know how to lose games like this and veterans who have lost so many games like this that they're not going to be able to see straight, it just makes you worried. Like, again, I think Dan Quinn can keep this locker room together. Like, I'm not really worried about team imploding inside as much as I am probably just some very silent resentment for how things have gone. Like, I still think Quinn is a very good leader. So it's like, I'm sure he can navigate them through something like this. They've overcome much worse, well, quote unquote, but
2017, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He got him back up on the horse after that Super Bowl. So, I mean, they made the playoffs that year.
A miraculous comeback to even be mildly good that year. So, but again, the schedule right now, I think they have a very winnable game next week against Chicago. You go to Green Bay, that's going to be tough. You could end up being like 1-3 at that point, which I think is the most likely scenario. But then the month of October, you play the Panthers twice, and then you go up to a very, very, very struggling Minnesota team this year, and then you get the Lions at home. So it's like you could realistically end up like 500 by the time October is over, which I think is probably, if I had to guess, would be where they would go. I just I think this vision of like the Falcons ending up like a top draft pick or something. I
Yeah,
don't think this team is just gonna like.
They can't let me enjoy, forecasting for a top 5 pick. That's never on the table.
No. We tried that last year when they were like 1-7.
No, that lasted like a week where I could do a mock. I got one mock draft in with a top 10 pick, and that was all.
We had Chase Young for like a week.
Yeah. The hope was real, but yeah.
It just, I don't know. I just feel like this team, the way that they look today, it's just like they did a lot of things well, but they still lost horrifically. And it's like when you have that much success and still lose horrifically, it's like I don't even know if you can blame one thing. It's just the organic. It's like a clock. It's like you can try to fix this piece, this works, but like the clock's just they're staring at you and it's not moving time, and it's just like you're gonna have to get rid of the clock. Like there's just gonna have to be something about this team unless they can get it going, which I don't think is impossible. But it's like if they don't get it going, we are going into a major change. We are going into a situation where everything will be on the table. And I don't mean to seem too like crazily about it, but it's like you can start seeing players we could never see out of Atlanta on the trading block under a new coaching regime.
Yeah,
we just really don't know where this is going to go.
Right,
we've never had to think about that before because we've always kind of assumed we would have this nucleus together, but a new regime could get in here and see a 30-something-year-old quarterback and want to do something else.
That's always a possibility, and that's an underrated storyline. Like I personally think I'd rather have Matt Ryan than not have Matt Ryan if I was a coaching candidate, but I can't speak for some folks, especially if they go for a college guy like Lincoln Riley who might want to get, one of his proteges in here. I still think it's very unlikely they move on from Matt Ryan, and it's probably more of like Jordan Love situation, if anything, where they're kind of grooming someone long term behind Ryan, if that. But yes, I mean, if this thing goes as bad as it could, we could definitely see a reset, and it could be before the season's even over, and then who knows what happens. Not that I want them to start shipping out assets, because I think we can kind of keep this core together and be good, but anything's on the table if it goes that badly. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. And Corey Woodruff is still on Twitter at CoreyWoodruff47. Check him out, folks. He's got the movie takes and the high school football takes as well. So very well-rounded coverage there from Corey.
Hope so.
Yes. Evan, I know you got a little bit of a word in. Anything else you want to add tonight?
Yeah. I just think it's a terrible situation because even, with the expanded playoffs, 0-2 is a tough start for any team. And even if they did make a coaching change, probably doesn't mean the team's going to end up going to the Super Bowl, which is what the dream is every year.
That never happens.
I just want to leave it with one stat. If everybody has their opinions on the game, but this is a powerful stat, I think. In the history of the NFL, this comes by way of Scott Kacsmar, I think, on Twitter. Yeah. He's well known on Twitter for sharing stats and stuff. Atlanta is the first team in NFL history to lose after scoring 39 points without a turnover. Going into today, teams that scored 39 points and didn't have a turnover are 458-0, and they lost. Like,
wow.
Like I don't want to. Like I'm a fan, so I'm never gonna be done with this team. But I am broke. Like I don't know what to do anymore.
God dang, Hall of Shame. God dang.
I don't know what to do.
Only dummies value only analytics there. Okay, Evan. So
yeah.
No, yeah, that basically sums it up. I like that one. That's a good.
Everybody at the Falcoholic, we're all still going to be here. You can read all our good content on the Falcoholic.com. What makes us stand out from other sites and other blogs and whatever. All of us. I mean, Keenan obviously played for the Falcons, but the rest of us grew up Falcons fans. We're all still Falcons fans first. We just happen to write and talk about the team. But yeah, so when you guys are hurting, we're hurting right there along with you.
Yeah.
I mean, normally I got some good shit to say, but my heart is crushed. Like and it's only week 2. Like this feels like it's week 13 or something, and I'm like, okay, at least the season's almost over, and I can relax a little. But I mean, 3 weeks ago I was begging for this shit. Now I'm like, okay.
Yeah, do I have to watch this 458 to 0, 458 to 1 type of outcome, every week now? Like, is that what I'm in store for? Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's crushing. Yeah. Usually you have to wait until about week 8 to be crushed to this extent with the Falcons. But, yeah, they're starting early this year, so maybe what they'll do is they'll just crush us to such an extent that, like, we have no more investment. But we all know that Quinn is going to win some games to keep everybody invested. He's really good at that. He's really good at that. So, no, but I mean, honestly, we do hope that things turn around. Maybe we'll look back on this as like a big aberration in a great year. I don't think that's true. I'm just saying that. But it's theoretically possible. And I know, not everyone here as down on the Falcons as I am. Keenan is still holding out some cautious optimism. So it's good to get a variety of perspectives in here. But they're in a bad spot here. They need to make some quick changes to have any chance. And we will see, what happens. We'll hear about it this week. They could be dealing with some bad injuries now. We saw some players go down, and we didn't really even have a chance to get to that. We'll have more details on that, obviously, as the week goes on. So we'll hope for the best there. We'll hope for the best for the Falcons. But, yeah, it's tough. At Evan Birchfield, by the way, guys, is where you find him. And Keenan, by the way, is at KForney65. I believe he has an Instagram as well. What is that, Keenan?
F65 Performance.
F65 Performance. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You're still
I'm on there for all.
Yeah,
I'm there for all younger linemen, NFL, high school, college, whatever. Give me a call, give me a ring. You know what I'm saying? I'll help you take your game to another level. And praying for Caleb McGarry, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I pray for him, man. I hate to see that happen to a young fella, man. Mm-hmm. Especially a good kid. Well, he's not a kid, but especially a good young man like Caleb, man. Praying for you, buddy.
Yeah. We're obviously all hoping for the best there for Caleb. And it's just, man, it's brutal. Like last year we lost Lindstrom early to injury, and like this year we might be losing McGarry, both first-round picks from that draft class. So we're just gonna hope for the best there. Hope it's not as serious as it appeared, and that we could get McGarry back in here. But yeah, guys. Otherwise, we just really appreciate you tuning in and helping blow off some steam about this loss. Like I said. If you don't mind throwing a like at the video, we really appreciate that. It helps everyone on YouTube find the show, and subscribe as well if you'd like more Falcons content, because we'll be delivering it. We'll be delivering it every week and after every game. Hopefully they won't all be this bad. But clearly you guys are gluttons for punishment because you tune in at record levels after games like this. So, I guess we all are because we're still fans of this team. So I can't fault you there. But for all of us, we really appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back Wednesday night at 8:10. The show is also at Falcoholic Live on Twitter. The site is the Falcoholic, the best place on the internet for that Falcons news and analysis. I know we're going to have a ton of that tonight and tomorrow about this game. I will be contributing something as well, so you can check it out there. So for all of our co-hosts this evening, for Evan Birchfield at Evan Birchfield, Corey Woodruff at Corey Woodruff 47, and Keenan Forney at KForney65. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I am Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin on Twitter. We will talk to you guys later this week, Wednesday night, 8:10 p.m. Until then, try to enjoy the rest of your football Sunday. Don't get too down. It's not worth being that upset over the Falcons, even though I'm going to be upset. So I guess I can't really blame you there. But, try to brush it off. Try to get back on your feet and enjoy some non-Falcons related football this weekend. We will talk to you guys soon.